Okay, good morning, everyone. It is Wednesday, June 30th, 2021, the last day of June, and I'm very happy to see the end of this month. It's been quite a doozy, especially for the last week or two, just very slow, very low volume, and hopefully July has maybe a little bit of a change here, but these are statistically the lowest volume trading months of the year, so we might have to get used to this until September comes around. So let's get started with our pre-market analysis on the S&P 500 futures market here. Going up to our quarterly and our monthly, everything looks very strong. No indications of reversal right now. The monthly just is going to close today. So we have, just the rest of today's trading, and then we'll have a close. Assuming that the RVI closes up here at 88 and price stays up here, we still will not have any indications of exhaustion, albeit we are very high here on the RVI. So we're almost up to 90 on the range. Remember, it can go all the way up to 100. We have never seen that in the past. If we go to our quarterly even, the highest the quarterly has ever gotten in the last 11 years. I don't have data loaded beyond that, but for the last 11 or 12 years, it's gotten just in front of 90. And so we're just in front of 90 right now on the monthly. So things are looking very, very strong here. So that's what's going on here on the monthly. This will be closing today, and we will still have no signs of exhaustion here. When we get to our weekly, we've already gone through kind of what was going on in these candles, and we have broken through. And this weekly we're basically right in the middle of the week. And this candle, if I could maybe hide this, or just you can see the candle is basically kind of in indecision right now. We have a wick to the upside, a wick to the downside, both equidistant from the center. And so we'll have to see over the next few days if we get some type of push either way to give a little bit clearer picture there on that candle. And keep in mind here that price is up here around 92, I think was the all-time high. The last time we had a peak on RVI to compare with was back on June 11th, and price, the high there was 42.39.50. All right, so it's pushed up, I don't know, say 60 points. But RVI is actually pushing down. So we could have, again, another bearish indication on the weekly chart when this closes on Friday. If the RVI does not push up and break the high here, let me just check and see what that number is, 74.5 on RVI. So if we can't get through 74.5, we will have another bearish indication here. Keep in mind that we are in a strong bull push overall, at least for the last, let's just call it, last year and a half. And so these are just indications of some exhaustion in the bullish push. And we did see off of pretty much each of these indications on the weekly, some type of decent, strong kind of pullback. So we can still anticipate here, if this does play out the way it does and closes on Friday like this, we could anticipate again another type of small pullback. But unless we get some agreement on the daily and the monthly, it could again just be some type of shallow pullback. And a shallow pullback from a weekly perspective could be 100 to 200 points here. So that's where we're at on those ultra high time frames. When we get to our daily here, the candle closed yesterday, again, a very kind of indecisive candle there, pretty much exactly like we were talking about on the weekly, how we have kind of the wicks on both sides, about the same length, same thing on the daily here. So somewhat of an indecision candle right there, but no indications of exhaustion from a divergence perspective. So right now, everything just looks normal here. And I'm not getting any clear signs of anything. So when we get to the 4 hour here, the 4 hour did have a little bit of a bullish divergence here on the most recent candle. And if you wanted to extrapolate back and make an argument, you could say from the previous low on June 28th up to the low from the overnight session there, we did push higher, and this did push just a little bit lower. And so you do kind of have an argument that there's some bullishness off that low. And right now, assuming this picture stays the same going into 7 a.m. and when the candle closes here, you would technically have a bullish divergence there. Now keep in mind, this could push all the way down to test that low back there at 69.25, which is a level we're going to talk about here very soon. We could push all the way to 69.25, and if it did hold there, we would still have a bullish divergence. So it's not necessarily an indication to buy right here, but we are seeing some bullishness. The candle itself is looking pretty bearish, a huge wick to the upside there. So we'll keep that in mind, and then I forgot to go ahead and mark 50% of this previous 4-hour candle. We'll go ahead and do that before the market opens here. Very important level. We've seen it react for probably years now on my end. So let's go down to our 60-minute and take a look here. And this is where we have that indication from the overnight low at 69.25 of a clear bullish divergence on the hourly. So the hourly gave us a bullish divergence from 69.25. It also gave us a bearish indication off of this pushback up from that indication right about 83.75. And if you go back to, actually I take that back, you can't see it because there's not enough resolution here on the 4-hour. But when we jump down to the shorter time frames, we'll start to see some bearishness off the high and some bullishness off the low. So it's going to be probably a little bit more tricky this morning as far as having clear conviction on a direction. But we do have an argument here for bullishness off of the lows on the 4-hour with no clear indications of exhaustion until we get into the 60-minute. And so this 69.25 is where we had our bullish indication, 83.75 where we have our bearish indication. So let's go down to our intermediate time frames here and take a look. And we'll go to our 30-minute here. And so this 30-minute did not necessarily, this is the one time frame that did not give us a bullish indication from 69.25. Now we were watching in our charts 69.75. This was an important level we had marked for a few days now. I don't recall how long we've had it. Let's take a look here. We had it on there since the 25th. Yeah, so basically for the last week, maybe going into last Friday. Last week we did have this 69.75 marked. We pushed right into 69.25 and bounced, and that's where we had the bullish indication that I mentioned on the 60-minute and an argument that could be made on the 4-hour from that low. Now this 30-minute is the only time frame that did not give us a bullish indication down there from a divergence perspective. We could go all the way back and go from this low back here and say that there's divergence from there. But as you guys know, I don't like doing that. I like seeing things that are in the local area. But one thing we can say is that that candle was a pretty nice reversal bar there. Huge wick to the downside. We never came back and broke that and had this push up. So, and then here's our indication that agrees with the 60-minute of some bearishness off of this high at 83.75, right? So we kind of have this tight range from 69 to 83 where we could see a lot of chop until we actually get some type of break. When we get to the 10-minute, it just agrees with it. And then the 3-minute as well agrees with the bullish indication off of 69.25 down here. Doesn't have the bearish indication up top. And so it's basically a very mixed morning, which is not too surprising considering everything that's been going on recently. We are coming right back into a lot of the chop over here. Again, basically 69 to about 80. You had a lot of chop in here. And from this 10-minute, you can see just a lot of confirmation. We did have a decent bullish indication right or just before 6 a.m. Pacific time. there was just not much follow through. You got maybe 2 or 3 points out of that, and now we're continuing to go lower, testing the 61.8 retracement of this whole leg. So that 69 quarter low, again, 3 minute, 10 minute, not necessarily the 30 minute, but then the 60 minute and the 4 hour all had bullish indications from 69 quarter, 2 ticks below our important level we've been watching for 5 days now. And it has pushed from 69 quarter up to that 83.75. So we did get just about a 14-point push. And sometimes that's really all you can expect, even if you have so many time frames agreeing, just because of whatever direction the market wants to go. That could be all we get out of that move. And so this morning it is a little bit more mixed. What I do want to point out is how well the levels have been working here. So if you look just at the overnight session here, we opened over here, we held 83 quarter, which was, remember, the all-time high that we then switched and changed to an important level once we broke through. Held that within a tick, basically held it here again, broke through, and then you can see really good resistance off 76.75. This level we've been watching for 5 days as well. Pulled back and bounced literally 2 ticks from 69.75, which was that level we've had for 5 days now. Pushed up, found support right off 76.75, and then look at the resistance, just 2 ticks from 83 quarter, which was that high that we've been watching for just about a day or two that we moved over to an important level yesterday. So some really great support and resistance off those levels. And right now, just as I'm talking, a beautiful resistance right off 76.75 once again. So just beautiful, beautiful stuff here from that perspective. And this morning, we're just going to have to kind of take it with the conditions that we really need to get above 83.75 here in order for the bullish case from the overnight low to hold. And then if we do break through that overnight low, things are going to start to look pretty bearish, especially considering that the previous daily low was at 71.75. So breaking below that previous daily low and holding below it is not going to be a very bullish indication.